one of the best attributes of living in Auckland City for me has been the fact that it's really warm up here compared to Wellington. Living in Wellington for 20 years was an amazing experience. I don't regret it in any way, but the weather up here is so much more consistently warmer, and I thrive in the heat. So for me, even though the autumn is a month away, pretty much. It's still 23 degrees up here. I love it. I fucking love it. But I digress. Someone last week said to me, you can't keep relating what you don't want to the unified field in regards to romantic relationships and expect a different result. Which I found really interesting. I was like, hang on a minute, let me just get my head around this and my heart around this and my awareness around this. She's saying to me that by me putting into the unified field consciousness what I don't want to experience, I'm going to keep getting what I don't want to experience. I'm going to attract into my life that which I don't want to experience because I'm putting out the unified field that I don't want to experience this, and this. So that's going to be my experience because the unified field is going to hear me say, or consciousness or first cause, source energy, is going to hear and is going to feel the reverberations, the resonance of me saying, I don't want to experience this. So you're going to get that. You're going to have that experience. It kind of makes sense in some ways to me, and otherwise it certainly doesn't make any fucking sense to me at all, actually. When I hear that, because I would have felt that by me putting out to the unified field what I don't want to experience and what I do want to experience, I guess those two attributes, those two paradigms are not interchangeable. Maybe if I start to put out the universe into the unified field what I do want to experience in regards to intimate connection and relationships and also romantic relationships, maybe I'll have a very different experience than what I've been having the last few years or even my entire romantic life. But I don't think that she was absolutely correct in her assessment of my situation at all. Because from what I'm experiencing, what I've experienced in the last few years in my romantic and intimate connections with women, is that I've brought women into my life that have shown me aspects of myself in regards to being my shadow, my mirrors, about attributes and how I was once upon a time, how I was emotionally unavailable, how I was basically the whore of Babylon, which basically means I was just a fuckboy, pretty much. That's what I was for such a long time. Seeing that if I wasn't available for deeper emotional connection to women, you become a fuckboy to these women. And I'm not being facetious when I say that. That's exactly what I was to them. You're just like, well, if you're not going to be emotionally available to me, buddy, I'm going to use you to get my needs met, and then I'm going to discard you. Eventually I'm going to meet somebody else who's going to meet my needs emotionally, and you're not going to be around, and I'm going to get rid of you. You're going to be gone. And that's how it's going to be, because you're not going to meet me emotionally. You're not going to step up to see me, get me, be with me in the way that I need to have my emotional needs met in regards to the connection. If you can't open your heart up to me, and you have a fear of intimacy and a fear of connection, and a fear of deeper correlation between the emotional content and the personal growth content that comes with a deeper romantic relationship and intimacy, if you can't give me what I need, you can't fulfill my emotional needs, you're just going to be that guy to me. So you'll serve a purpose to me, and eventually you'll be gone. I'll discard you, because I'll meet somebody else that can do that for me and will do that for me. And that's what I want, is the whole package. And you're giving me and you are giving me literally a lower chakra experience, right? Base chakra, sacral chakra, solar plexus kind of chakra energy. Sometimes I might move into the heart. She'll feel very deeply around the nature of the connection to me and look to me and go like, I'm really feeling this way about you. I really feel, I really love you. Fareus, I love you. I want to be with you. I want you to drop in with me, connect with me, and really lean into me. And what I would do is I'll be like, what the fuck? And I'll be terrified because of the nature of my abandonment issues. Due to the nature of the fact that I was terrified of intimacy because my childhood traumas, and my inner child would say like, run a fucking mile. So I would self-sabotage all my connections in that way. Because getting close to someone meant I was going to get hurt. They were going to abandon me due to the nature of my traumas. And I have got abandonment issues from my childhood, from my parents, right? So, and of course, the nature of my idea of connection and love was inverted and was distorted by my experience of my childhood, right? So, of course, I was never able to lean in. I was never able to experience, even though there were times when I really did lean in hard, and I gave a lot of my energy and time into that space of doing that. I was able to lean in hard, and I fell in love many times in my life with some incredible women, absolutely incredible women, who are very different to the woman that I've dated in the last few years, and how women have changed in the last few years. In my experience, and I'm not alone there, how much women have changed in the last few years, especially in this country. A woman that I used to date in the mid 90s, early 90s, late 90s, and even the early 2000s were very different to the woman that I'm interacting with now. They're like two different species. And I can see that what I'm experiencing from women, I was saying this to one of my friends yesterday, what I'm experiencing with regards to a romantic connection, what I'm seeing is my own shadow manifesting in front of me. So I have to be more gentle, more present, more open, more caring, more spacious with these women who are showing me parts of myself that I've left behind, at least in my perception, because I'm not acting that way at all. I'm actually leaning in more. And someone said to me on Saturday that women need to feel safe. And maybe you're not making them feel safe. Or maybe it's the fact they don't feel safe because of the nature of the situations they've experienced before they've met you. And I looked at her and I thought to myself, what does that even mean? Because you're generalizing around the nature of connection. Maybe your experience of feeling safe is your experience, and you can't really talk for anybody else in regards to what it means to them to feel safe, right? In regards to connection. And it goes both ways. Like for me, literally, I never felt safe in connection, never felt safe in relationships until 2019 when I was doing couples counselling, and I realised that my fear of abandonment had got me to a place where I never felt safe in a relationship and never felt safe in deeper connection, because my fear of abandonment would mean that I was terrified of leaning in. When I began to lean in and really leaned in hard with these women that I was dating from 2019 through till 2026, what I've experienced is that these women lean out when I lean in. And I'm not leaning in a way that's overzealous. It's the opposite. I'm leaning in with a deep knowledge of spaciousness, but I'm also very strong about what I want to experience and what I'm available for. I know what I want to experience. I know what I'm available for, and that's clear for me. And what it means for me to lean in is actually that I show that I care, right? It's not about desperation. It's not about possession. It's about care. And what does care means to me? Care means to be able to listen, to observe, to create the spaciousness for my lover, my partner, my companion, to feel like that she has the spaciousness to be able to express herself and be herself completely and wholly, but to understand that I've made my choice to be with her and no one else. Whereas in my past, I made the choice to be with them and other women too, because I was often in open relationships and polyamorous relationships. So I was, I was go forth and multiply. I was hooking up with a lot of women. That was my modus operandi. I would go out and I'd literally hook up with lots of women because that was the nature of who I was, and that's where I was at. And that validation came for me through the process of attentiveness and my devotion to awe and reverence for women and their capacity to be able to create, and through their energetic processes, experiences that I was not able to in my own body due to the nature of hormonal, chemical, physiological, energetic, etheric nuances that men don't have in their bodies. I became an adept at being able to work with that energy, work with those modalities in regards to a woman's form, right? Big part of my life was like, and that, it was an ego boost in many ways to be able to work with these energies and utilize them for the benefit of my lovers. But I would get off on that experience as well. It was a big boost for me. Not always ego. Sometimes it was more of a deeply spiritual, connective experience for me. It wasn't about just the sexual, egotistical, I'm a great lover kind of thing. It wasn't really like that. It wasn't a big boast. It was more about the fact that I dropped into a place where I felt in my heart that I was connecting in a way that I couldn't connect in any other way. And emotionally for me, that was a big part of my experience, right? It was an emotional connection that I couldn't give on a level that was about me stepping up. So I would do it in that momentary dance of intimate sexual connection. So now that I can step up, now that I have the ability to step up, and now that I want to step up, that's who I want to be in my connections, in my romantic connections especially. I want to lean in, I want to care, I want to be able to have the spaciousness in my life as well to do whatever I want to do in regards to how I live my life, and live my life in a very strong conviction about where I want to go and what I want to do in my life, without someone compromising my life or me compromising their life, because they have a life to live. I consider this as a perfect relationship. Two circles that just touch like that. They just touch, but they have their own unique experience. They just touch like that. They just cross over and they interlock to share those moments when they have those moments together. That's been my paradigm for romantic relationships since I can remember. There was a time in my life when I was much younger where I would lean in really hard and really face it and really, really deeply, because I was very insecure, needed the validation in my life, needed to feel like I was loved, cared for, seen, heard, because I felt like I was very much afraid because of the abandonment issues that I had in my life. But what I'm seeing in my experience now is women that have those issues. They have partners that have cheated on them. Trust me, I know what that's like. I did it to enough women in my life. Women who are fearful because of the nature of they don't feel comfortable or safe in relationships or related to somebody, so therefore they need to have a spaciousness. You have to step back and away from that connection in a way that gives them spaciousness to feel safe, that they can lean in towards you and you can meet them there. But when you're not doing that, you've given them the space to feel like they're living their life in a way that you're not going to compromise their lifestyle, which in some ways, in my experience, is quite a masculine trait. And there's a lot of women that I've connected with that have a very strong masculine energy. And I have to be honest, most of the women in the last 6 years that I've connected with have a very strong masculine energy. And whether I'm attracted to a very masculine woman, it seems like I am, probably because the fact that most of the women that I've met that are deeply feminine, and they've so good feminine energy, have partners, or are friends, or become friends. So it's interesting, isn't it, to hear someone tell me, like last week, that you are going to keep bringing into your life women that will show you what you don't want to experience if you keep putting it out to the unified field. That I don't want to experience this, which I'm not doing at a conscious level. I'm not doing that at all. I'm actually doing the opposite. I'm just sitting in my space, sitting in my energy, and just feeling like I'm just in this place of deep stillness. And there's no woman in my life at the moment that's actually making himself present in any way. And in the last year, really, I haven't had any attention at all from women, apart from New Year's Eve, where I had 4 women hit on me, 2 Russians, a Chilean and a Kiwi. Ended up going home with a Kiwi girl, which was interesting, to say the least. And that relationship ended before it even began, in regards to the connection, for various reasons I'm not going to get into. You've probably heard them before. But I don't know. What I was talking about with friends the last couple of days around the nature of accountability in relationships and how we relate to each other, and the necessity to relate to each other. And how many men I know in my life that actually say that they can't, and are tired of relating to a woman who aren't accountable for their words, deeds, actions, thoughts. And when you hold them accountable, they don't like it. They get passive aggressive. They gaslight you. They project onto you. They get defensive because they don't like to be talked to this way, because they think they're being interrogated. When the opposite is true, when men are actually, that I know, are stepping forward because they care. And there's a difference. They truly care, and they want to build together a connection and drop deeply into this and heal the wounds, because often there's wounds around these triggered events, these triggered feelings, right? These wounds. So, there's also a dance of doing this process, going through this process of knowing this with full awareness. And there's also this, for me in my experience anyway, last month or so, when I made it quite clear this is what my experience was with this individual I was dating. She was like, well, you got it all wrong about me. You're deeply wrong about me, and you're being really insensitive, which to me, in my experience, due to the nature of what I was only relating to her, what my experience was around her behaviour, taking full accountability for how I chose to respond to that behaviour, which was leaning out and avoidant, and anxious avoidant at that. I was like, well, if you're going to do this, if you're going to be anxious avoidant, you need to understand that I'm not interested in someone who's going to be like that. I can talk to you about it and work through it with you if you want to work through it with me, but we need to talk more. We need to relate to each other more. And if you don't feel safe doing that with me, then this isn't going to work for me. I'm not going to put my energy and time to someone into an experience. It's not going to work. If you're not wanting to step up and do the work, because I knew that she had somebody else on the side. She wanted a cake and eat it too, right? And I was like, well, this is how you're going to play it. If you're going to play it, you've got me in Auckland and this guy in Mount Maunganui. I'm not going to be that guy. I've done that before, and more times than I care to count with women. I'm not interested in doing that, and I've done that more times than I care to count 2 women. I'm not interested. I'm all in 110%, or I'm 110% out, 0% in. And I felt kind of sad that it came to that place for me, because I was literally thinking that I'd met someone in my life that I could move forward through and have a summer romance with, and that I was moving towards a greater understanding and connection in a way that was allowing me to create in my life that which I wanted, right? And this woman last week says to me, after I related my experience, you're basically projecting out to the unified field that which you don't want, and therefore that's what you're experiencing. I was like, well, that's a really good point. Whether it holds any water for me, whether it's actually true, I guess the experiential evidence empirically is in the fact that I'm meeting this woman who is giving me exactly what I don't want, that which I don't want, right? Even though I'm saying this is what I do want, this is what I'm available for, I'm having the opposite experience, which is interesting, very interesting to say the least. I'm having like, wow, this is really bizarre. I'm having this experience, but I'm actually wanting this experience. And whether I'm not in a alignment with what I want to create in my life in regards to connection and relationship, and then maybe I'm pushing a round peg into a square hole for the last 6 to 7 years, or maybe the energy is just really shifting and changing and recalibrating and reconfiguring in a way that I'm actually moving in a direction where a lot of women I'm connecting with don't have the ability to aren't moving in the same direction I'm moving in, and aren't aligning in the way that I'm aligning to this energy. So therefore the attraction is maybe they're seeing what they want in regards to connection in me, energetically, subtly, subconsciously, but they can't meet it because they're not able to do so themselves, because they haven't done the work to get to where I'm at. Not that I'm higher or better than anybody, it's just a very different experience and a very different energetic resonance. They see what they want energetically, subconsciously, and they want to move into that place where they're resonating out into the unified field, and in their life they're embodying that which they want to be, and they see it in me in regards to who I become, where I'm at. But they can't meet me there because they're not there. You know what I mean? They're just seeing that they're having the fantasy, or they're seeing the dream, seeing the man that I am, and saying, well, I want that experience, but I can't meet it. Does that make sense? Because that's the way I'm looking at it. I'm not looking at it as like I'm putting out to the unified field, this is what I don't want to experience, and therefore this is what I'm experiencing. I'm feeling like the women that come into my life in the last 6 years, I come into my life in a trauma bond, to be completely honest with you. And that trauma bond is an opportunity for growth, but they can't step up because of the choices they're making. No, I can't do this. It's too intense. The light's too bright. And therefore they back away. Because I'm standing in the light going like, well, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I care. So I'm staying. Until it comes to a point where I have to put my foot down and go like, no, this is enough. I can't. I'm not able to give my energy to a situation that's not going to meet me, and not going to be a conglomeration of my energies in a way that's going to help us to move forward together and grow together. For however long that is, for however long that is. I'm not one of those characters that looks at women and go like, she's my forever. I don't do that shit. Because I've had so many relationships in my life where I've had moments and weeks and months or years with women, and our time together has served its purpose, and have moved on, and then they've met somebody else, and then they have another experience. And that's how it's been for me all my life. Connection is like that for me. Coming together, connecting, moving on, and then this has been my life. This heliacal strands of DNA, the antennae drawing in, the energetic exchange, moving, snaking around together, the energetic matrix, moving, shifting, changing, accelerating our personal growth, and then we go in our separate ways. It's been my entire life. It's how I've always related to a woman, and in regards to romantic relationships and as lovers. But I've grown so much because of that. I've been taught and seen so much about myself, and I've learnt about myself through these connections, but also had these beautiful romances, and so many of them. So I'm so blessed in that sense. So blessed. But I'm curious as well if her perception, this woman's perception last week, is true. So maybe I'll just turn it around and I'll say, this is what I'm available for, and this is what I want, and we'll see what happens. See what I manifest, see what I attract into my life by saying this and doing this, going through this process. I'll tell you, I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching, I truly appreciate it. Mate wa. I'll see you again soon.